Welcome to Mededia. This is Tariq. So we have another mock interview with another Mededia mentee. We have Dr. Hareem Farooq here. Dr. Farooq, how are you doing?
Uh, Good afternoon, Dr. Tariq. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. So go ahead, tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Thank you for having me here. I'm very happy to be here. I am a graduate of King Edward Medical University, Pakistan, class of 2021. Since the past several months, I've been in the United States doing my clinical rotations in different states and different departments, including hematology, oncology, as well as cardiology. These experiences have helped me learn about the US healthcare system and have enabled me to learn about the differences between the US healthcare system and the system back home. For as long as I can remember, I've been very committed to my studies, but during my O and A levels, I made it a point to involve myself in multiple extracurricular activities. So at that time, I began teaching, I began debating, and involvement in social welfare as well as student councils and society leadership posts. All these experiences helped me become a very well rounded person, but what they did most importantly was that they enabled me to connect to a lot of people. So, my desire for medicine stemmed from my love for that human connection because I believed that medicine was the most basic form of connecting to people and giving back to them when they needed it the most. During my medical school and my clinical years, I realized that medicine was more than just a profession. I realized that when you were entrusted with something as sacred and as delicate as the human life, then you needed to make yourself the best at what you do. You needed to make sure that you were qualified to be in the position that you were granted, which is why I decided to pursue a postgraduate training in one of the best healthcare systems in the world, that is the United States, which is what brings me to your residency program.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you. Thank you for telling us all that. Can you share your hobbies and interests?
Yes, sure. I have multiple hobbies. The most important thing about me is that when I'm in my free time, the first thing that I'd like to do is spend quality time with my friends and family because I think that's most imperative. Other than that, I like traveling to the northern areas of Pakistan with family and friends. I like reading, I like cooking, and these are mostly my hobbies.
What do you like to read?
I read multiple different kinds of novels, but I prefer uh, tragedy, drama, and all those sorts of things. And the most favorite novel that I have is Harry Potter.
Okay. Other than Harry Potter, is there another book recently that you
Yeah,
have
I
read and you liked?
recently read this book called Doctors by Eric Siegel. It was a very enlightening book. It was the journey of a few students in medicine. I was very relatable, and it was not just the medical aspect of it that was very relatable, but the emotional challenges they faced, the heartbreak, and all those things that were so well incorporated that made you realize that all the hardships that you face in this journey and all the different kinds of emotions that you go through in the journey of medicine are not just limited to you, but it's something worldwide and happens to everybody. So I thought that it was one of the most relatable books that I've read and something that I'd recommend to everybody before they join medicine.
Okay. And I see you were an Amboss ambassador in Berlin, Germany. Can you tell me a little bit about this experience, please?
So basically, this was a remote volunteer opportunity. When I began my step one journey, that was in my fourth year of medicine, and at the end of my fourth year of medicine, I came across researched about a lot of different resources that were used for steps, and I came across Amboss, and I realized that there were other resources that were very popular and very good, but Amboss was one resource that wasn't as popular as the other resources, but it was equally good and very helpful. So I started using Amboss at that time, and there came this opportunity for being an ambassador to Amboss, and I applied for that. When I applied for that, I got selected, and my duties as an ambassador included transmitting the message of Amboss. So I conducted a lot of webinars and seminars within my medical school at King Edward, and disseminated the message of Amboss, which was telling people about this resource, the question bank, and especially the library of the Amboss, which was something that was unique to Amboss itself. Because whenever you're studying, in addition to a good question bank, you always need something to refer back to, a library that has comprehensive and up-to-date information. So that was what I used Amboss the most for, and I told people about it. Other than that, I helped them use the Amboss study planner to design and compartmentalize their study plans. And I connected them to people who had used Amboss and who had done well on their steps to learn the tricks and techniques of that.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So I also see you worked as an event organizer as in SPWS. Can you share a little bit about that, please?
So SPWS is a Students Patient Welfare Society in King Edward Medical University. Lots of medical schools in Pakistan have this society, but I was an event organizer at SPWS in King Edward. What I did was that I organized events that raised funds for charity purposes, and we use those funds for the betterment of the wards in Mayo Hospital, such as installing fans in different locations and putting benches around in the hospital for the attendance of the patients. These included bake sales. We had annual bake sales, and I was involved in organizing them. Then we had this event, this huge event, which was like a concert called The Lights of Hope. So I was involved in the management of that as well. In that we had singing and music, and the funds that were raised were used for the purpose of Mayo Hospital's betterment. So I really enjoyed these experiences because they were fun, but they generated a lot of money that was used for a very good purpose and something that was that improved the life of patients out there.
Okay, so you were an event organizer. It wasn't that you organized one event. You
No, I
organized
organized
multiple.
multiple events. I was consistently involved in these events.
Okay. And that was the highest post you reached in SPWS, an event organizer?
No, there are multiple posts. I was most my main society that I was involved in was King Edward as a leadership position, but I liked SPWS because of its message and the work that they're
Sure.
doing. So I consistently involved myself in the organization part of that as well.
So the
Not this,
leadership was
not the
debating?
post.
Okay, the leadership was debating
Yes,
society?
that was debating.
Okay.
Yes.
So what did you do in the
Uh,
debating society?
Okay, so in the debating society, I was on one leadership post in all my 5 years. In that, I had multiple tasks. In the fourth year of my debating society, I was the vice president, which was the hallmark of it. And in that, firstly, I was responsible for training my juniors. Whichever batch that came in, we taught them about different forms of debates. I was most consistently involved in the parliamentary form of debates. So I trained juniors because when juniors come in first year, not everybody has an idea of the parliamentary debating form because it's sort of different and a little hard. So I had monthly debating camps in which I organized sessions between these juniors and help them communicate with one another and help them learn the art of debating. Other than that, we had inter-class competitions annually, which I organized. But most challenging of all was the annual All Pakistan Debating Tournament that we organized each year, one for declamation, one for parliamentary. And I was responsible for everything from scratch, from the setting, the hall management, to accommodating teams in hostels, and to making sure that the event went well, from organizing the trophies and everything that went, the effort that went into the tournament. I was responsible for that.
Interesting. So which language were you doing your debates in?
I did my debates in English language, but we have both. We have English, we have Urdu, and we some of the years when we had Punjabi speakers, we also had Punjabi component as well, but not all years.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about this parliamentary style of debates. What is the
Okay.
difference
Yeah.
between parliamentary style and declamation style?
So what happens in the declamation style is that you have a topic, you are given a topic beforehand, like a few days or a few weeks beforehand. It can be a serious topic, it can be a humorous topic, and it depends on what kind of a speaker you are. So if you're an English humorous speaker, you have a humorous topic, and same goes for being a serious speaker. You have time, ample time, like weeks to prepare for that topic. You write a 5 to 7 minute speech and you learn that by heart. And you have to deliver that speech on the day of the tournament in front of in front of the entire auditorium, and it's usually an emotional style of debating where you are telling people about a particular topic and linking it to different examples and trying to emotionally stimulate those people who are listening to you. However, parliamentary style of debating is a more serious kind of style of debating. And what happens is that you are given a topic and you have two teams. One team is in the favor of that topic and one team is in against that topic. You have three speakers on each side, and you just get like 10 minutes on the spot to prepare for that topic without using any resources. And you have a one-on-one competition, like one speaker from each team followed by another speaker for each team talks about their topic as well as refutes the arguments of the other team. So it's a 45 minute, almost a 45-minute competition where one speaker opposes the other, and you keep giving arguments for and against each other, and at the end the decision is made on who was able to better defend their side of the argument.
Okay. And I also see you were also involved in literary society.
Yes.
So I'm a little surprised. You were a part of welfare society, you were a part of debating society, you were a part of literary society. Why were you doing all that in med school? Is that typical in Pakistan?
That's not very typical. Yes, people are involved in different societies. So, firstly, during my first year, I was very enthusiastic because I had recently started these things in my high school, and I was really enjoying all the social welfare and as well as the extracurriculars. When I came into my med school, I saw a lot of opportunities, and I didn't know which one would be the best for me. So, I joined multiple societies at that time. I realized early on that you cannot be equally involved in all societies, but you can still contribute something. I decided to pursue debating as the main society that I was going to follow because that was the closest to my heart and something that I enjoyed the most. But for other societies, I wanted to remain connected to different kinds of people and different kinds of activities. And so I kept some amount of my time for those as well. I think that was very doable with my medical curriculum, as might not be the popular opinion. But I believe that as humans, we have a lot of capacity to do the things that we want to do, and we should not become tunnel visioned. Why? Because we have the capacity and we only need to manage our time well. We only need to be disciplined and we only need to compartmentalize well, and we can incorporate lots of things within our schedule. And I believe that knowledge and intelligence and all those things are very important, definitely. But even being a doctor, I don't think that only knowledge can treat a patient. There are a lot of aspects that you need to develop as a part of your personality in order to become a complete doctor. So I believe that if I cannot communicate well, then despite having a lot of knowledge, I wouldn't be able to satisfy my patients. So one of the reasons I did all of these things was because I wanted to incorporate all these different aspects within my personality as I grew towards becoming a clinician.
Okay. So you think this was all an integral part of your personality development?
Yes, it definitely was. When I started in my high school, I was a very shy and introvert kind of person. I did not make friends very easily. And even when we had guests at our place, I was a little hesitant in interacting with people who were new to me. But all these experiences helped me connect to so many people and gave me such exposure that I was able to incorporate these aspects within my personality. So I believe that it was very important.
Okay, so we don't have these societies and extracurricular activities in our med schools in US. Do you think we're lacking that? Is that something you would incorporate if
So
you're?
since I've been in the United States for a couple of months, I've interacted with different people in the places that I've been living. And I came to see that in the United States, I'm not sure that what happens in med schools, but I did come across pre-medical students, and I believe that they do have a lot of exposure to different activities. For example, a few days back, I met somebody and he told me how he worked in this suicide hotline on the weekends. So that was a very enlightening thing for me, because I think that these students in America are exposed to a lot of different kind of activities. One of them was volunteering for an animal organization. So I believe that they do have a lot of exposure at different levels throughout their educational career, and that's good because they're as good as the medical school activities as we have back home.
Interesting. Yeah, I think our extracurricular activities are pretty big in schools and
Yes.
colleges, but in med school, it's all focused towards medicine. Interesting take on that. So, can you share what's your biggest strength?
I believe that my biggest strength, which would stem from all these things that I've been talking about, is that I'm very disciplined. I compartmentalize very well. I'm very habitual of making schedules, of having a to-do list all the time with me. It helps me get all my work done on time, and it helps me make sure that I'm not lagging behind. I heard somewhere, and I believe that's very true, that you're not as motivated you're not as motivated every day, but what keeps you going is discipline, because motivation is something that comes and goes with the amount of with the kind of environment that you're in. But discipline is a consistent personality trait, and it helps you get through difficult times and difficult days in a consistent manner and prevents you from lagging behind. So I believe that being disciplined is the quality that I value the most in myself.
Okay. And I see you worked in US. You did some rotations in Jacksonville, Canton, Ohio, and Houston, Texas. Between these rotations, which one did you like the most and why?
I think that all of these rotations had something unique to teach me, and all of them were very enlightening experiences. If I were to choose one, then I would choose the one that I recently did, that which is in Mayo Clinic, Jacksonville, Florida. The reason I say that I choose this one is because having had a lot of cancer patients in my extended family, cancer is something that I've seen very closely. And till now, I believe that having cancer means that you are bound to die, and there's not much that you can do about it. Coming to the United States and specifically going to Mayo Clinic, I realized that there was so much advancement in the field of oncology here, and it was very encouraging to see that how many new drugs, how much immunotherapy, how many clinical trials were going on, and how people had a much better prognosis. And it was something that encouraged me to even consider oncology for the future, because it gave me a new perspective on oncology, and it helped me and appreciate the differences between the US and the Pakistani healthcare system, and I was very enlightened by it.
Interesting. And what do you think is your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness, I believe that it would be that I find change a little hard. I'm not as comfortable with change as I'd like to be. It's something that I've been consistently working on, and I believe that I've been getting better. But it's something that I would want myself to become more comfortable with. I had my early schooling from Saudi Arabia, and moving from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan was a big shift. It was hard, but I did adjust to it, and I believe that I adjusted well, and I became very well incorporated into the Pakistani system. Then coming to United States from Pakistan, being independent for the first time, staying away from my family for so long, I believe that I've done a decent job. I've had a very good experience. And even though it was a little uncomfortable at first, it's something that I adapted to and I adjusted with. So it's a work in progress. I'm learning, and I think and I hope that I'm getting better, and I would like to improve myself on it more.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. If you're on an island by yourself, what are the three things you're gonna take with you?
Thank you for that question. That's a very interesting question. The three things that I would take, I'd say number one would be an electric kettle, provided that there is some electricity on the island.
There
Being on
isn't.
different on a rotation where I had no stove, the electric kettle was my lifesaver, because I used it not only to make tea, which makes me going all the time, but to boil eggs, to make 2 minute noodles. So I believe that it was a survival item, and so I'd like to have an electric kettle. Secondly, I like to have my cell phone, because it can serve a lot of purposes. I can use it to call people if I'm in trouble. I can use it to take pictures of the whole experience and keep it in my memory, and I can use it for any modern form of entertainment that I might need if I'm there for a long time and I'm used to that modern form of entertainment. And lastly, I believe that I'd want to have a pen and a paper, because I really don't move around without a pen and a paper. And I think it's very imperative to always have a notebook and a pen with you, because you might need it anywhere. I can use it to write and express whatever I'm feeling on that island. I can use it to maybe play games if there's somebody else with me on that island, or I can use it for rescue notes as well if need be. So these would be my three things.
Okay. Why internal medicine?
I believe that internal medicine provides a very holistic experience of different kinds of patient populations. I enjoy diversity, and even though I believe that in the future I might want to pursue a fellowship, but I want to become uh, very grounded in terms of all the specialties at this point in time. I believe that these 3 years of exposure that you get in internal medicine, they make you well versed at a lot of things. So I believe that this diversity that internal medicine provides is something that I really enjoy, and it's something that will enable me to become a complete clinician before I decide to pursue a specialization. And I really don't like that aspect that I only know about one particular thing. I would like to know a little about all of this, all of the things, so that I'm able to help people of with different problems, and offer solutions to them instead of just being able to talk about one particular aspect. And that is why internal medicine, I believe, was foundational to becoming a grounded clinician.
Why our program?
I believe that your program is aligned with my goals because of multiple things. Number one, that it provides diverse clinical exposure and a high patient load, which is something that is very important to me in my career. Secondly, I believe that the scholarly activities that you provide are something that needs to go hand in hand with medicine, because they help you remain updated. I really liked the community outreach leadership track that was mentioned on your website, and with something that I might be interested in when I come to know more about it. And lastly, I believe that located in a small town, the life of a small town is something that I would really enjoy. And it's something that I would prefer, the peace and the serenity. And that is why all these different aspects make your program a good fit for me.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have close to 5,000 applications, and we're interviewing like 300 applicants for 20 spots. What sets you apart from the rest of them, and why should be hired?
I believe that every candidate is unique in his own way, and the thing that makes me different is, number one, that I think that I'm well rounded, and I believe that being a clinician, you need to be well rounded. You need to be able to have not only knowledge but the ability to communicate well with your patients, the ability to actively listen to your patients, and the ability to empathize with their problems. I believe that having all these experiences that I talked about have enabled me to develop these things within my personality, which is what makes me a good fit for your program. Secondly, the thing that I believe is important is that I'm very receptive to learning and receptive to feedback. I'm very particular about the point that if I'm taught something once, that the person teaching me does not need to repeat that thing twice, and I make it a point to incorporate that in my daily activities. So I believe that being a well-rounded person and being receptive to learning are two things that make me unique and make me a good fit for your program.
Okay. If you have to change one thing in US healthcare system, what would that be?
Uh, so for what I've observed in the past 3 4 months, I believe that the insurance system of the U.S. healthcare system, it might be good, but I think it's a little too complicated. And at times, that when a doctor particularly knows that a patient needs drug number C for their betterment, at times insurance would not approve it unless he has tried drug A and drug B. So the insurance would create a hindrance in making you jump directly to drug C when you, as a clinician, know that drug C is probably the best drug that there is. So I believe that the insurance system is a little too complicated and creates hindrances for patients and prolongs the right treatment for them at times, and is something that I believe can be improved in the US healthcare.
Okay. And where do you see yourself in future?
In future, I wouldn't say that I have pre-decided everything of what I want to do and what not. But in future, I see myself as a very competent clinician who is dependable, whose patients are comfortable with her, and whose patients can easily depend on her and are satisfied with her. I do see myself doing a fellowship in the longer run. And I believe that even though I have not decided which field would be, because I think it's premature before I have adequate exposure in the field of internal medicine to decide what I want. But at this point, I think that it would be something that involves the entire human body instead of just isolated organ systems. So the fellowships that are in my mind right now are: number one, rheumatology and autoimmune diseases; number two, infectious diseases; and number three, hematology and oncology, because I think that they tend to involve multiple organ systems, and that's something that I enjoy.
Okay. Well, you did very good. I wish you good luck for the match. Thank you for interviewing with us. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you for having me here. Yes, I do have a question for you. I would like to know a little more, since I am very interested in your program and the community outreach leadership track. I would like to hear about it from your side a bit.
Sure. So basically, what we do is we schedule your additional rotations in our other campuses. So you will be traveling a little bit, half an hour, not a whole lot, and you will work in our secondary hospitals where we get patients transferred all the time from, and you will also have additional rotations in our primary care. In addition, in our primary care clinic, in addition, we expect you to work on two QI projects. For your residency, we expect you to do one, but for this track, we expect you to do at least two QI projects, come up with an idea on how to improve the entire system, how to improve the education or patient care delivery. And you can work with an attending as a PI on that project. So all these things combined together, your travel to far off hospital, you're working in a clinic with not a lot of facilities, and then you working with attendings to come up with different QI projects. We believe that makes you a better healthcare leader, especially for primary care.
That's really interesting.
Anything else?
Yes, just one more question. I was going through your researches and I came across this one, which I really found interesting. It was about the use of sildenafil for lymphatic malformations. So
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, that was done in 2014. So over the years, have you seen this drug being used, or what advancements have occurred in this particular area about it?
I think so. There have been additional papers, but it's not widely adopted. The reason is we didn't see a huge difference. What we saw was we said there are two types of lymphatic malformations: macrocystic, microcystic. It affects only on the macrocystic one, and I think now there are newer drugs that they have used that have come up with more promising results. So that's why we're not typically focusing on, at least in the recent literature, I haven't seen sildenafil being used that much.
All right, that's good. Thank you so much for that information.
You're welcome. Anything else,
That
Dr.
that's it from my side. Thank you very much for having me.
You did very good. Well, good luck for the match.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. All right, feedback time. How did you think you did for Hareem?
I think that I have a lot of trouble smiling. That is,
No, actually, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
because I have to constantly remind myself that smile, smile, smile. But especially when I'm
No.
speaking, I forget to smile. I just get too involved in what I'm saying, and then I completely forget that I needed to smile.
Okay. Anything else?
I would like to think more about why internal medicine. I'm not very satisfied with that answer particularly.
It was okay. Okay. Well, I think you had a couple of, or probably more than that, unfinished sentences. You started a
Okay,
sentence, you didn't complete it. So I'm sure as a debater, you know that you can't have unfinished sentences. If you start saying something, just wrap it up. If I were you, I wouldn't really mention my fellowships. Like I don't know, you can just say that I haven't finalized or decided yet, but I wouldn't
okay,
really mention what fellowship you're
okay,
interested in. Honestly, when your interview started, I was like, oh man, really? But then it went up, 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 and it was very, very good. The reason was you tell me about yourself was weak. And
okay,
when I asked you, tell me about yourself, the first thing you said, I'm a King Edward graduate of 2021. And then you started on, I know all that. That's on your CV. I know you graduated from King Edward in 2021. I know you did all these rotations in US. I'm more interested in you as a person. So you can say that I'm somebody who's passionate about medicine, who went to med school in Pakistan, and then my passion for medicine brought me to US. I recently did rotations in America, but you don't have to just start describing your year of graduation, your where you rotated, what, like, that is a part of your personality. That is not, you're so much more than that, right?
Okay.
So you're talking describing your personality, and then you can say, just in one sentence, I did multiple rotations in US. I worked on multiple research projects, and my hobbies and interests are these, and then they can ask you more questions about your rotations, about your research, about your time at KE, or your hobbies and interests.
All right.
Okay. Other than that, I think your smile was good. It was consistent. Your eye contact was, I wasn't expecting, but your eye contact was also pretty decent. Yeah, I wouldn't really start my tell me about yourself. I'm a K graduate. That was the only thing. Okay, you can say I'm a medical graduate from Pakistan, but even why say that, right? They know that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been
Other than
having
that,
trouble actually structuring that answer, and still thought.
yeah, just practice that. But everything else was very, very good. All right. Other than that, tell me about yourself, which I think you need to work on. Everything else was very good.
Okay.
Any questions?
I guess that's it.
I hope you all learned something from this video. If you did, please like it, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. And like we always say, never give up, never lose hope. Bye.